Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar, Questions about Travel to Japan. Today our exciting roster of presenters are going to give you all the tools and information you'll need to educate your clients about Japan for when travel restrictions are eventually lifted. Be sure to attend a full duration of today's webinar to be eligible for a chance to win one of 3 $100 Visa gift cards. Now, just before we get into things, I'd like to let our viewers know that at the end of this webinar, you'll have the chance to ask questions to the presenters. To do so, just type those into the Q&A section of the public chat box, which will be towards the right side of this page, and those questions will be answered at the end. And remember, this is a live session, so your patience is appreciated during any technical difficulties that might arise. To kick off this webinar, I'm going to play a short video, and then I'll hand things over to Athena Ho, Director of JNTO Toronto. Okay, Athena, I'll now hand things over to you.
Hey. Hi, everyone, and thank you, Dan, for organizing our webinar and being our moderator. On behalf of the Japan National Tourism Organization, first, I would like to thank all of you joining us today. And we are very honored to have Mr. Bruce Punti, Mr. Adam Waxman, and Ms. Serena Lee to be our guest speaker today. And we have just done our office, complete a survey among the travel professionals. And we got about 36 tour operator and retail agency to answer us. And at here, I want to share with you a few interesting findings. I will make it very brief so that leave enough time for our speaker to share their ideas. So this is what I find interesting. We have a question to see how the agency see how the client's behavior changed. You can see from the chart. The most 75% showing the clients are more comfortable to travel in private tour or small group. And also 67%, they agree the customer lost their confidence and they need to rebuild it. And 56%, they have change in travel habit. This is another I find interesting. So we ask question like, how do you find will be helpful to rebuild your client's confidence? And 81, a very high percentage, saying refund and cancellation policy on air ticket, hotels, and tour booking. 78%, they want information updated and new information on the safety protocol and airline, hotel, and local facilities. 69%, I love this one, provide insight into how Japanese culture contributes to high standards of hygiene and health. And for the last, couple more questions I want to show. When you decided to include Japan in, we developed Japan Tour, And what do you think will be helpful? So about 78% of the agency indicate small group size will be good. And 72% allow booking with flexibility to change and cancel. I think this is very important too. And 56% update on the information of COVID-19. Okay. This is the one we asked about how we can help to promote your Japan tour product. And 92% emphasize on status of health and safety protocol in Japan is very important. And the second one, where they say up-to-date information on travel restriction. And the again, they want flexibility support from airlines, land operators, and hotel for change and cancellations. And also more than half of the answer, they think we should post or support by posting positive video interviews of Canadians who went to travel after travel restriction are lifted. I'm happy that this is the survey among the travel industry, and I'm happy that the Conference Board of Canada allowed me to present the consumer survey. They have a very significant size target audience. They have 2,000 Canadian adults age 18 and up. And they're they weighted among the population, they represent the population by age, gender, and province of residence. I just pick out a few that I think you may be interested to know. So what they find, the top main reasons how travelers choose the destination. Top three, 51% they say they want to spend time with family and friends. And they want, okay, I'm reading the domestic, it should be outbound at here, 41%. And then they want a destination or the tour have good value. And the destination is open to Canadian. Those three main reasons the consumer think that's important. And this is very interesting. They ask about the stage of how the booking process, how people by destination, how they designed it. They have a stage beginning dreaming, but destination Asia Pacific, you can see they skip the dreaming. They don't need to dream. They're certain they will go to one of the country, Asia Pacific. So you can see 80, we skip the red in the Asia Pacific. And the last one is when they travel, the general public, when they travel, what the fear? I think they still don't like the big crowds. So public attractions, say for the park or whatever, they avoid the crowd, and they don't like in the crowded train or buses, and also the airplane. And before I end my talk, I would like to introduce our website, which I just introduced them. You can download the brochures. No need to receive physical printed material if during this challenging time, and you can download. And we have a e-learning program. We welcome the travel agents to join us and go through the basic knowledge of Japan. And then we have newsletter, and you can subscribe. Also, this is what the survey found. your client may want to know updated information about travel to Japan from time to time. And this is, you can go on and search, it's updated. Okay, I guess then I pass it on to Dan introduce the next guest speaker.
Thank you very much, Athena. That was great. Presenting next for us is Adam Waxman, journalist and member of the advisory board appointed by the Commissioner of the Japan Tourism Agency, MLIT.
Thank you. Well, welcome all of you. Japan, as many of you know, is not the kind of destination where you stand and look at the Mona Lisa. No, you're in it. It is deeply experiential, and it is perfectly suited for a post-COVID travel boom. In the cities, it's populated by socially conscientious people, and in the countryside, it's inherently socially distanced. I used to live in Kyoto, and I loved it there. But for me, standing in line, being clotheslined by the selfie sticks of 1,000 high school girls doesn't interest me anymore. Rather than sightseeing, I would encourage you all to consider authentic experiences that can't be captured in a photo. From pilgrimage routes, eco tours, pottery tours, tea and garden tours, to farm stays and more. I'm going to just briefly go through the whole country from north to south, starting in Hokkaido. And in Hokkaido, there are so many opportunities for hiking and being in the outdoors of places that are uniquely Japanese. In the winter, and this is one other point I want to make about being in the nature in Japan has no season. There's no off season for traveling through and enjoying Japanese nature. In the winter, and the north of Hokkaido, you can go through the Ryuhyo ice floe walking tours, which is basically a veritable conveyor belt of ice, punctuated by a few polar dips in between. In the Shiretoko National Park, which is also known for its unspoiled beauty, there's a variety of wildlife and a hot spring that's essentially a waterfall called the Water of the Gods that flows through the river. And as you're hiking up the river, the water gets warmer and warmer and warmer. That's a completely unique experience in Japan. As we move south to Tohoku, in Aomori, which is the northernmost prefecture of Tohoku, it is the home of the shamisen guitar. So you have artists and musicians of all kinds gravitating there. It's also where you can find the apple pie trail, 46 different kinds of apple pies, because that's the largest apple production in Japan. Further south in Akita, which is a lesser known prefecture. Some people know Akita for the type of dog, but again, wonderful opportunities for farm stays there to really get into a uniquely Japanese agricultural experience. In Yamagata Prefecture, which I believe is the next it spot in Japan, you can do something called Yamabushi training on Mount Haguro, which is a journey deep into the mountains with Yamabushi monks. You experience an immersion into this spiritual journey in which you die and are reborn spiritually. You wear the traditional Shirozoku robes and are guided by these monks. They also have their own unique cuisine, as does each prefecture have different specialties along the way. In winter, the Zao skiing area that you can experience in Yamagata Prefecture has these giant snow monsters that you can't find anywhere else in the world. And just like in Hokkaido, which is known for the best powder skiing in the world, you have this other unique opportunity. Further south in Niigata, the same thing, unique skiing accompanied by the onsen and the sake. You can't beat that cultural experience that comes with the skiing in Japan. It's unparalleled in the world. Again, just a little further south, let me just go back here one second. As we move further south, many people know about Nagano and the trails in Nagano, the nature trails. That's all over the country. While many people from Tokyo want to escape the city and the heat by going to Karuizawa and Nagano, you can pick any prefecture and find a unique experience to whether it's the Nakasendo Trail in Nagano or the Kumano Kodo in Wakayama or the 88 Temple pilgrimage route across Shikoku. There are spiritual walks and nature trails for forest bathing up and down the whole country. And in Niigata, which I previously mentioned, there's so much sake there that it comes out of the vending machines. Further south, from Tokyo, if you use Tokyo as a base, there's so many opportunities for outdoor experiences, like the best whitewater rafting in the world in Gunma, or you can also go whitewater rafting in Saitama. As you can see, it's a ferocious river. And in the Kansai region, the whitewater rafting there is unique as well because you're standing the whole time. And you have even less control than if you were in a raft with a paddle. Someone up front is doing it, and it looks impossible, but it's the most exhilarating experience you can have. I would encourage you to think about Kyoto beyond the temples, to look at the north of the prefecture, the woodland Kyoto area, where they have the most spectacular coastline. And in the south, which is perfumed by the green tea fields, to experience green tea tastings, or in Nara Prefecture to go to workshops where you can create the wooden whisks, or tea ceremonies within Kyoto, north and south, in Nara, in Wakayama. There's endless beauty and experiences to be found. If you're interested in pottery, the Kiyomizu style pottery is something to look into, because these are workshops where you can create something and actually bring it home that you wouldn't find in a gift shop. Further south again, we're in Chugoku region. And if you're interested in gardens, which is so perfectly paired with enjoying green tea, the best gardens in Japan, the most beautiful in my opinion, are in Tottori, Shimane, Okayama. It's like these gardeners said, okay, God, that's pretty good, but watch this. The flower gardens in Tottori, the Adachi garden at the museum in Shimane is enchanting, as you can see in this photo here. Also in Shimane Prefecture, apropos of green tea, you can have workshops where you can learn how to make the wagashi, as you can see in the photo on the upper right, how to make those sweets. I did not make those, but I ate each one of them. And again, a unique style of pottery. Shimane is also known for kagura, which is the oldest form of performance art in Japan. And you can watch that, be spellbound by it, and then make your own masks, as I did there. In Shikoku, which is a really interesting set of prefectures on the island of Shikoku, if you want to experience old Japan and you go on a farm stay in the Iya Valley in Tokushima Prefecture, you'll be amazed at the experience that you have, the quality of food, the quality of hospitality that you wouldn't think you would experience. But that's really this old Japan culture that is better than visiting a temple in a city. You will see temples by accident on a hike somewhere. The food across Shikoku as well, they're doing so many interesting things, whether it's the olive beef that is becoming more renowned, or the beef in Ehime, where they're feeding fish, chicken, and cows oranges, because that's a huge center of orange production. They're also now feeding the fish chocolate because they've discovered that the polyphenols in the chocolate make the fish stay fresher longer. There's so much to experience on the island of Shikoku that you can call your own. It's remote and socially distanced. There are, again, activities from exploring the whirlpool that you can see in that picture, or the whitewater rafting, farm stays. There's also a little town that's populated by scarecrows. There are more scarecrows than people. There's all these fascinating things you can find off the beaten path, away from what's called the Golden Route. Again, here you can see the whitewater rafting. These are a couple who are enjoying the pilgrimage route. And here's a garden, the Ritsuen Garden. As we move into Kyushu, everyone is aware of Nagasaki, and many people go to Kagoshima for Sakurajima or the onsen there. But if you go to Oita, there are 2,900 hot springs in the city of Beppu alone. You could be walking down the street and there's a foot bath in the middle of the intersection, or a little hut that you can call your own. You could be the only person in there experiencing an aromatherapy bath, or the mud baths, or the restaurants where you choose your own ingredients and submerge them into a pit of steam to cook your own food. And in Kumamoto, further south, you have Mount Aso. For those who feel they must climb Mount Fuji, I would say that Mount Aso, which is just covered in, it looks like green felt, like a rolling pool table. It has a 100-kilometer caldera, which is one of the world's largest, and within it, there are several volcanoes, and one of which is active, that at some points of the year you can climb. You can take a helicopter over it. There are hot springs in the volcano, which is quite a unique experience. And you can go horseback riding in what has to be one of the most spectacular panoramic destinations for a horseback ride that you can think of. The pottery in Kagoshima, if you're interested in pottery tours, is totally unique in Kagoshima because they were influenced by the pottery in Korea and in China. And then even further south of Kagoshima, it's considered Kagoshima Prefecture, but it's a separate island. There are a slew of islands that are now becoming more discovered. One in particular is called Yakushima. This tree is thousands of years old. And what's attractive about Yakushima for eco-tourists is that this is a UNESCO World Natural Heritage destination in which you can experience all 4 seasons in one day. It can be snowing, it can be hot on the beach, up on the mountain. It's a completely different kind of microclimate. And so for forest bathing, this is certainly a unique experience to be hiking through this primeval mist-shrouded forest. You'll notice a picture of cherry blossoms there. We all think of cherry blossoms in the spring, in April, but if you were to look at the cherry blossom calendar, you can travel to Okinawa and experience the cherry blossoms in January. You can totally avoid the crowds of cherry blossom viewers in April and go to what is considered off-season in Okinawa, which for most of us would be a summer paradise. The beaches, the diving, the cuisine, from the Ishigaki beef to the Okinawa diet, where they have the centenarian women with their healthy longevity. There's so much to discover there and learn and bring home, the experience that you can bring home that will make you want to return the second you get off the plane and unpack and dream about your next visit. So I thank you for your time, and I look forward to your questions. There is so much more to experience in Japan, and I hope that you all have the opportunity to do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adam. That was wonderful. Next up, we'll be hearing from Bruce Poon Tip, a leader in social entrepreneurship, leadership, and innovation. He's best known as the founder of G Adventures, the pioneer of community tourism and world's largest small group adventure travel company. Bruce's first book, Looptail, was a New York Times bestseller, and in May this year, he launched an Instabook called Unlearn, The Year the Earth Stood Still, which looks at the opportunity we've been given to reshape travel on the other side of this pandemic. Over to you, Bruce.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. It's great to be here, and even better to get an opportunity to speak about Japan. Um, we're in very strange times. I mean, this whole kind of setup is strange for me. Speaking to myself, an image of myself, knowing there's people out there interested in this topic. I was very pleased. So thank you, JNTO, for asking me, because I love Japan. I get asked to do these things all the time, but I'm very passionate about Japan. And in fact, I was supposed to be in Japan right now. I think I was supposed to land yesterday in Japan, and I was hoping that I could. It was going to be my first trip, actually, after this long hibernation we've all been in. But unfortunately, I had to cancel because of restrictions that came up. As well, the festival that I was attending was canceled, and then I was hoping that the quarantine coming into Canada would be removed, but it hasn't. So we're all in this hibernation, but now we're talking about Japan. So Japan is a very special country. First of all, let me just say it as a destination. They asked me to come here today to speak to you about travel on the other side, how agents can prepare themselves for the changing landscape of the travel industry, as well as work on instilling confidence in travelers. But I did want to just say a few things about Japan. Japan is a very special country when it comes to destinations around the world. There's obviously there's many great places to travel around the world, but there's few that really capture everything that experiential travel should be, which is the food, the music, the architecture, the culture, the history, that all kind of come together in making Japan just such a special destination. And also it's considered by the consumer globally as a safe destination. So I think on the other side of this pandemic, when people start to think about traveling again, it's very important that agents look at those destinations that are in the minds of the consumer considered a safe destination prior to the pandemic. How they've handled it, and they're preparing for the Olympics, delaying the Olympics, and now preparing for the Olympics for next year has obviously put it in the spotlight as a destination. But in general, Japan is considered a safe destination to travel to, and people will be looking for that sense of security when people start traveling again. But back in March, when this pandemic escalated, it started, I know the exact date, which is March 13th. It escalated, quicker than we all anticipated, and every day seemed like a month back then. And we were all deciding we didn't know that the world could just shut down. At that time, we had to make some difficult decisions at G Adventures, as every company has had to do, to prepare itself for an extended period of hibernation until people were comfortable to travel again. And during that time, I wrote this Instabook, Unlearn. And Unlearn was actually, originally, I coined the phrase Instabook halfway through because I was actually writing a letter to our customers about the potential for travel on the other side of this, that, sometimes when you're doing ridiculous things, you have to just stop and look back at what you're doing to realize that maybe, you can do things better. And this is what I hope that we get from this pandemic, this forced pause that we're in. Because the travel industry wasn't in a great spot just prior to the pandemic. There was a push for bigger is better, more amenities, and people, and as an industry, we're selling amenities instead of destinations. Suddenly, it was about, thread counts on sheets, Broadway shows, 10 different restaurants available, all inclusive, all you can drink and eat. All of these things became important in the sales process, and the destination became irrelevant because we, as an industry, were just promoting amenities, and there was a race within the cruise industry or the compound resort industry to create more outrageous amenities, whether it's zip lining or carousels or indoor golf cart or go-kart tracks, which is actually on a cruise ship in Alaska right now. The amenities became the star and the destination became irrelevant. And so this is, we've been forced into this. And so agents now have this opportunity, because when there's been any downturn in historically or any recession or disruption in the market, there's always great opportunity on the other side. And history has proven that over and over. And there's no greater opportunity on the other side of this than for travel agents. The travel agent is going to be more important than ever before, to be a source of information and a light for travelers to get comfortable against traveling again. So we've all seen the shift. There's been no industry that's been more disrupted than travel in the last 20 years. I think the only exception to that would be publishing, where publishing has gone from newspapers and magazines to be pushed into a digital business model. Travel has seen a huge change, where most in travel industry people made the base of travel, which was air flight, was kind of taken away with the OTA, the emergence of the OTA market. And suddenly, in order to survive as an agent, you have to be more well-rounded and more informative and supply a service to customers who wanted to travel to destinations outside of just finding out about an air flight. But that as well created an opportunity. If you can go back 20 years, if you were in the travel industry that long, you would know that we were equally irritated at that time about the travel industry, that where there was bucket shop air travel, retailers that just sold air with $5 and $10 margins, and that was equally, a difficult time, I think, in the travel industry, where the consumer was so motivated by price. So here we come full circle, and now the travel industry is in this pause, and I think the traveler is going to change. And this gives us the opportunity as agents to be that light, to be that voice. And they're going to need experts, and they want to know, the destinations that they want to travel, the information about the destinations they want to travel to, but also guidance on the best destinations to go on the other side. I think that far too many people prior to this, came to their travel agents, or came to their service providers, and were totally motivated by different things, whether it was price, whether it was dates, whether it was the amenities, how they're going to be entertained, fed, drinks, swim up bars and pools, 10 different pools. All of these things became the star of the show. And I think that was just a very dangerous place to be in the travel industry. And so here we are, with this opportunity to transform travel, get people connected to destinations and purposeful in where they're going to travel next. I think that's such a great opportunity for us as travel professionals, because that's where we need people to be in order to, create that professional service of what a travel agent should be. It's not just about booking commodity cabins or a commodity flights. Those things have all been commoditized, car rentals, all of those things. Chasing that market, I mean, you have to know how to do those things, and people often need them, so it is a part of your business. But that's not the future of how we're going to create a thriving industry within the travel industry. And so that opportunity has never been greater on the other side of this pandemic, where people are now searching to be more purposeful in where they go. They want guidance on where they should go, where is the best places to go. We're not as carefree anymore, and I don't know how long we will be carefree like that again. So there's going to be a short-term, a mid-term, and a long-term plan in which we're going to ease people back into travel. And as agents, as an industry, we can be that guiding light. We can be that source of information. And it's very, very important that we are educated about what's going on around the world, whether it's, the fact that we know that there's, 14 to 20 teams around the world that are working on vaccines. There's 4 to 6 companies in phase 3 testing. All of these things and where they are between the Oxford test. I'm on top of all of this stuff. It's become almost my full-time job. And as well where the US stands, because the world global economy and travel industry can't move on unless we're all in this together. And the one thing that this pandemic has showed us is how much we need each other. So after a few years here of division in politics or divisiveness, where we're polarized, whether it's through Brexit or whether it's this populist movement in politics, we're suddenly forced into this COVID disaster or COVID pandemic, and we need each other to get out of it. We need to come together, and we need to support each other. And just one country getting out of it or one country doing well, we can see how it impacts everybody else. So after these few years of divisive politics and the breaking of trade agreements and the issues of immigration, here we are back together again as a planet. and we have to come together and work together. One thing the pandemic has shown is from this small market in Beijing, how quickly this spread within months. Some of the most rural, remote areas around the world had instances of COVID. It shows how connected we are, and that's going to definitely have an impact on the traveler and how they think of the world. It makes the world smaller, which is a benefit for us as an industry, because when the people think the world is smaller, they think they can go further, and they want to travel more. They want to, and now that we're connected to other cultures and other people and seeing how we need each other, people are more likely to want something different from their holiday. They want to experience other cultures, and they want to see their place in the universe. They want to find a purposeful holiday or adventure, and you can be that light. You can be that guide to that, and that's just something that's really important. That as an industry, we come together, and G Adventures, we're here to help you in any way that we can. We have an Agents of Change Facebook page, which is an amazing tool for agents to be part of. Hopefully you're all part of it, but please join if you don't on Facebook. Our Agents of Change page is really it's really to inspire people to think more purposely on how they sell travel. Understanding the importance of your position when someone decides to travel, understanding the power and privilege you have when you decide to travel. That's a privilege that we have in the Western world, that we have the opportunity to say that. It's a privilege that we get to travel around the world and have the opportunity to travel. And too many people think it's a right, and it's our job in the travel industry to be that message. And so when someone decides to travel, they have great power and privilege, and when they come to you, that is extended to you to help guide them. That moment is what can transform lives around the world, because people are traveling to some of the poorest countries in the world, some of the most in need citizens. And if done right, travel can transform lives and transform people and communities in some of our most in need citizens, and in return give you the gift of when you come back to your community, understanding where you come from, your place in the universe, by understanding other cultures, and also getting a greater appreciation of where you come from. The other issue that I wanted to talk about today is regarding traveler confidence. It's our job as an industry to help and aid travelers in whichever way we need to get them to travel again. And again, there will be a short-term solution for this. You can see I'm in a hotel. I actually took my first plane flight in 6 months, almost to the day yesterday. And I'm in Calgary, quarantining here myself because I want to go see my 88-year-old mother. And so I've taken a COVID test, and I'm staying here because I took a flight. So I'm quarantining here for 5 days before I'm getting a chance to go see her in Calgary here. But we have to be that light for travelers. So give them the information and be that source of information. So as a travel industry professional up until now, I know you spend so much of your time learning about product, learning about the best products to meet the needs of your customers. So you're constantly, because there's so much product out there, there's so many different deals and things and information just flying at you all the time. But the information you need right now is different. You need information on what's happening within the industry in terms, and we have to know that and to create a dialogue with our customers now. There's no greater time to create a dialogue with your customers than right now, because you get to actually talk about things and you get to transcend your product and transcend your specialty. So traditionally, your relationship with your customer is just travel. So you probably speak to them, when you have a deal or you have something, when you're giving them information that they want for their holiday. But as a business, as an entrepreneur, and when you want to create engagement with your customers, the best thing you can ever do is to create a conversation that transcends that, and offers and create a conversation that's outside of what the service you normally offer that customer. That creates a bond with customers, and that brand or the relationship with customers that really we need. And during this time, it's the greatest opportunity to have that conversation with customers, to create a relationship with customers that's not just about travel. And you can be that source of information of what's going on, whether it's in a political sense or whether it's going with the airline industry, the cruise industry, the car rental industry, what's happening on the ground, with the social distancing, the regulations that are going on. In every destination, there is a local country, there's regulations, the local city has regulations, the local attraction or museum or restaurant has their own restrictions. So when you think about it, the first is the actual attraction or the museum or the destination, Machu Picchu, whatever, they have all new restrictions to allow for social distancing and regulating people, whether it's through timing tickets or whatever they're doing. And then that city, and then that country, and then there's a global body that has new guidelines on how we're going to travel in the future. And then there's us as tour operators. We have our own guidelines and we have our own ways in which we are going to help travelers feel safe. And so all of those things have to be taken into consideration. It's very confusing for the customer, and it's up to you as an agent to kind of understand all of those things because it's too confusing, but we need to get people traveling again. For us, we have obviously the Book with Confidence program at G Adventures, and we actually ran our first tours in the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, we had, I think, 4 tours departing. We had 3 or 4 more departing this past weekend. I think we have 23 or 24 tours departing for the first time in September. And that number increases slightly in October, which, isn't a lot, but we're so happy. And if you look at any of our social media channels, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, or even my personal Instagram, I posted pictures of our first trips this week because I'm so excited that we're back on the road and getting people to travel again. But our Book with Confidence policy, it really offers everything that customers are looking for, which is obviously smaller groups, everything that was mentioned here today. One of the key things that you'll have to look for your customers is flexibility. So flexibility is going to be critical because people want to leave deposits or they want to plan a trip, but they have to know it's flexible because there's all this talk of a second wave or how long the vaccine is going to take to before we hit the herd immunity. All of these things are questions that you can answer to customers, but also flexibility with the operators that they work becomes critical. And I know all operators and all airlines are offering different ways in which they're going to offer that to their customers, but it's important that you know that. We also have the Book Your Bubble program, which is book small groups and private groups to stay, keep groups small. But as operators, we're doing all kinds of things. Everyone's doing something different. I think, generally we're all doing the same, but we like to say we're doing different things. For us, larger vehicles, smaller groups, so people don't have to sit beside, have your own seats. Hotels, we're trying to get hotels that are, with rooms on the first 3 floors, so you don't have to take elevators, masks, hand washing, following all the local guidelines for all the attractions that we go to in terms of times of tickets, changes operations and changes the flow of a trip sometimes. The restaurants we choose, the places we go, all of that stuff is being taken into consideration to offer your customers a safe experience. So those are the highlights that I wanted to feature. There's the agents, obviously your position and your, you being the leader and the light to get people traveling again. And then instilling travelers with that confidence by giving them information and creating a dialogue outside of just pushing trips right now. And for the customer, being connected to destinations again. On the other side of this pandemic, if we get anything, is that people on the other side have a purpose of why they want to go to a country, why they want to see a country, and they come to their travel professional for advice on, the early entry kind of countries and the safe destinations to start traveling again. Some countries have done very well with the pandemic, some haven't, and it's up to you to be able to supply that information. And I just go back to, in closing, about Japan. Japan is a very special destination, considered a safe destination, and one of the world's greatest cultures when it comes to music, food, the connection of how that impacts their history. It's just and their long history. Seeing the presentation before mine was just it so reminded me how perfect it is as a destination as we ease back when we need more rural destinations, more cultures outside of big cities. I think Japan is often mistaken for Tokyo, which is huge, crowded. And the images are with the hustle and bustle, but you can see by that presentation it's so much more. And it's important for you on the other side to focus on those destinations that are seen in the public eye prior to COVID as being safe destinations, and get people traveling again. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you, JNTO, for having me. Baxter, Japan will be the first place that I'll be going once these restrictions, they relieve us of these restrictions. And again, I'll just mention my book, my Insta book, Unlearned, which is on unlearn.travel. You can get a free copy. It's free. It's a very short read, as well as please join our Agents of Change Facebook page. So thanks, everybody. I'll be around again for questions after this.
Thank you so much, Bruce. That was very encouraging, and it was great to hear your insights. I'd like to now hand things over to Serena Lee, Director of Global Sales for Canada at Japan Airlines.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Serena. I'm from the Vancouver office. Thank you, JNTO, for today's opportunity. It's my great pleasure to be here with you all today. This is today's agenda. I'm going to talk about JAL Flight Safe program, followed by the flight schedule for the month of September and October. Then I will talk about the JAL product and services together with some JAL updates and news. Let me first start with playing you a short video.
We here at Japan Airlines have established measures to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. We require our airport staff to wear face masks. Clear partitions have been installed at counters. Hand sanitizing stations have been set up throughout the airport, and we regularly disinfect frequently touched surfaces such as our check-in kiosks, tables, and chairs. Thermal cameras at security areas and non-contact infrared thermometers are being used to monitor guests' temperatures. Guests will also be asked to observe social distancing measures while standing in line. In the cabin, our cabin crew are required to wear face masks and gloves. Hand sanitizers have been placed in the lavatories. While the cabin is thoroughly disinfected every night, including armrests, screens, shared stowage space, lavatories, and other frequently used areas, we ask our passengers for their cooperation in preventing the spread of any viruses. If you experience any symptoms, such as a fever or cough, please refrain from boarding. Please wear a face mask while at the airport and on board. Please observe social distancing while standing in line. In order to provide our customers with a safe and secure travel experience, Japan Airlines and the JAL Group will continue our efforts to prevent the spread of COVID-19 during this time. We thank you for your cooperation and understanding.
So, as said in the video, Japan Airlines is dedicated in keeping our customers safe and comfortable. We have adopted a wide range of necessary precautions to give passengers confidence when flying with us. One of JAL commitments to our customers is to provide the latest travel information. At the time when people plan for their trip, we strongly recommend them to check out our website, jal.com, where we post each country's travel restriction on it. To help people plan their trip with confidence, JAL is now running a Relax Fare Rule campaign. We have one of the most flexible booking policy in the industry. Customers can make JAL international flight reservations with peace of mind, as change fee on tickets issued through the end of the month, September 30th, will be waived. Some conditions apply, so do check out our website for more information. In order to provide a safe travel environment, We suggest passengers to measure their temperature in advance and refrain from traveling if feeling unwell. Suggest them to travel light with minimal luggage and check in online before going to the airport. At the airport, all our ground staff are wearing masks, and we have installed plexiglass partitions at check-in counters. Hand sanitizing stations are also available throughout the airport. We implement temperature screening. Passengers with fever will be denied boarding. We have increased cleaning frequency of high-touch areas such as check-in kiosks, tables, and chairs. While on board, passengers are required to wear a face mask on JAL flights at all times, with exception to small children under 2 years of age and passengers who have medical conditions. We suggest social distancing from each other as much as possible. Flight crew on JAL flights are wearing masks and gloves for all flights. Antibacterial hand wipes are available on board for passenger use. Our flight cabin is thoroughly disinfected for passengers' safety. Here on the right-hand side, you see a picture. That's a picture of the air purification system. Even before pandemic, Japan Airlines has installed the HEPA filter on all flights. So the air inside the cabin is constantly circulating, and we are taking in fresh air from outside the aircraft. The air comes down from top of the aircraft and will be discharged out at the bottom. So the air inside the cabin is completely refreshed approximately every 3 minutes. Other than wearing face masks, we also ask our passenger to keep conversing to a minimum to prevent the spread of viruses. We ask passengers to remain in the seat as much as possible and to maintain social distancing during boarding and deplaning. Passengers are asked to stow their own luggage to minimize contact for their own safety. Now, some people may want to know what to expect upon arrival in Japan. Right now, the Japanese government requires mandatory PCR testing at the time of entry. The test is carried out by the Japanese government officials, not JAL staff. 14 days mandatory self-quarantine is required. Using public transportations such as train, bus, and taxi are prohibited when traveling from airport to place where passenger is going to stay or during the quarantine time. On top of that, effective from September 1st, passenger must show a COVID-19 negative result certificate, with tests being done within 72 hours of departure to Japan, along with valid entry permit and a letter of confirmation by Embassy or Consulate General of Japan from overseas in order to enter Japan. So at this point, Japan is not quite open to everybody, just to the Japanese national and also the foreign residents. Given the current situation where the removal of immigration restrictions in many countries cannot be foreseen, please do check the travel restrictions imposed by each country before departure. For travel to Japan, please visit Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan, MOFA, website, which I have it on the screen here for the latest updates. Connecting passengers via the same airport are not subject to PCR tests, nor the 14 days quarantine. What it means is that passengers who travel, let's say from Vancouver, transit at Narita, they can take the onward flight from Narita to Manila without the need of taking neither the PCR test nor the 14 days quarantine. However, due to the fluid nature of the situation right now, please always check the latest info before the departure time. JAL has reduced the flight frequency during the pandemic. Here is our flight schedule for the month of September from North America to Japan. In Canada, we operate from Vancouver to Tokyo on every Thursday and Sunday, and from Tokyo to Vancouver on every Wednesday and Saturday. We also operate a special LA Kicks flight, LA to Osaka, one way only, on the 26th of September. Next, I'm going to show you the schedule for October. We will increase our flight frequency at various gateways, which Vancouver will increase from 2 to 3 flights per week. The changes are highlighted in red. You can see it on the screen here. For Vancouver, we will fly on every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday out to Tokyo. And from Tokyo back to Vancouver on every Monday, Tuesday, and Saturday. We will also fly LA Kicks once a week on every Saturday in October. So the takeaway here is Vancouver passengers can actually go to Osaka, go to Kicks via LA to avoid a quarantine in Tokyo. Our fares from Vancouver to Osaka include the interline portions between between Vancouver and LA. So please do check out JAL schedule and fare in your GDS. Here is an overview of our American region connections in the month of September and October. For inbound, passengers from Kuala Lumpur, Manila, Jakarta, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, Bangkok, Singapore, Thailand, and Hong Kong. Hong Kong, we use the co-share flight with Cathay, operated by Cathay. Passengers can travel via Narita to Vancouver with the same day connection, as well as to other US gateways as you see on the screen here. For outbound, passenger can transit via Narita to Manila, Singapore, Australia, and Jakarta from Vancouver. However, the Sydney connection is available in September only due to the restrictions imposed by the Australian government. Here in US, it shows the connections between US and Asia. We have the inbound connections via Haneda from Bangkok, Ho Chi Minh City, and Manila to these gateways. Like what it said in Athena's survey, due to the COVID-19, passengers are looking for flexible bookings. So JAL, we provide passenger confidence with the relaxed fare rules. When passenger book through travel agencies like yours, they can make date change and refund without fee, extend the ticket validity without fee, but all these do have some conditions apply. So please do contact your JAL sales rep or JAL sales support desk or the JAL reservation center for more information. For our loyal customers, JAL will credit their expired miles as e-JAL points with advanced registration. Please check out jal.com for more details. Now, I would like to provide a quick product and service update. Japan Airlines offers 4 classes of services. It varies depending on the aircraft used on each route. On the left-hand side is a picture of our first-class cabin called JAL Suite. We offer one of the largest first-class space in the skies today. Then on the right-hand side is the JAL Business Class. We call it JAL Sky Suite. Offer aisle access for every full flatbed seat and adjustable partition for more privacy. This is what we are using on the Vancouver route right now, from Vancouver to Tokyo and vice versa. Next, I'm going to show you the JAL Sky Premium, our premium economy class seat, which is the picture on the left-hand side. In addition to added legroom and footrest, we offer business class lounge access to our premium class passengers, which is a really big bonus. On the right is JAL economy class. It's called JAL Sky Wider. With increased seat pitch and width on the 787, Japan Airlines has only 8 seats in a row versus 9 by many carriers. Therefore, our JAL Sky Wider has been named as the best economy class seats in the world in 2018 and 19 by Skytrax. As you can imagine, with 8 seats in a row, more space and more comfort for your passengers when traveling with JAL. So previously, Adam talked about what Japan can offer. Now, I would like to show you how you can explore Japan by spending less time in commuting, but more time for sightseeing. Japan Airlines offer Japan Explorer Pass, JEP, to overseas customers who are holding non-Japanese passport. People can use it to access over 30 cities in Japan. JEP is simple to use and affordable. So let's say you see here on the screen from Tokyo to Sapporo, one-way cost is approximately 136 Canadian dollars. If travel by train, it takes approximately 7.5 hours from Tokyo to Hokkaido to Sapporo. But by plane, it takes only 1.5 hours. So it really saves you a lot of time. The pass must be purchased before departure from Canada though. So again, more details can be found on our jal.com website. Oh, before I go to the next page, I want to point out JAL provides free Wi-Fi services on all our Japan domestic flights, so please do take advantage of that. Japan Airlines, we have a very extensive Japan domestic and international network. We provide services to 127 Japan domestic airports and 60 international airports. We have been named as the best airline in Japan by TripAdvisor for 4 years in a row, from 2017 to today, 2020. As a 5-star airline, we commit to the highest standard of services, and safety is always, always our #1 priority. So next, I would like to provide some updates on JAL. Since July, we have reopened our first class lounge in Haneda and Narita. Business class passengers are invited to use the first class lounge as the Sakura Lounge remain closed at this time. And at the bottom here, I'm showing you JAL is now testing touchless check-in kiosks at Haneda to ease the coronavirus concerns by passengers. So passengers can manipulate the check-in software while holding their fingers 3 centimeters away from the screen. They can scroll through the tags, press the digital buttons by simply moving their fingers without touching the screen. So if this is successful and we get good feedback, JAL is planning to install more of these kiosks at airport in Japan. And yesterday, JAL Facebook, we mentioned about the world's first autonomous wheelchair, which Japan Airlines launched at the Haneda Airport to keep social distancing. So we have a lot of things going on and launching right now. Therefore, if you wish to learn more about Japan Airlines news and updates, please do follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, and on LinkedIn. Thank you. That's all I have to share with you today. Japan Airlines is ready to serve you when the time is right. We hope you and your customers will choose to fly with JAL. Thank you for joining me here today.
Thank you very much, Serena. We're going to take a few minutes now to answer some questions from the audience. And I see that some questions have been submitted already, but feel free to submit any questions to the Q&A tab, which is located on the upper right side of your screen, just beside the chat tab. And first up, Athena, I wonder if you can answer this. What is the up-to-date or current entry requirement for Japan as a tourist?
Well, it's to be for updated information. I would suggest to go to the website address I showed earlier. It updated every day is better for us. If I say something today, it may change for tomorrow. So then we have a slide on the last one I have. It shows the address, or you can go to our website that's shown here, and you can search for the updated information of entry.
Thank you, Athena. I'll just post that into the.
Yes.
I want to post that into the Q&A, and I'll post that into chat as well, so everyone can see it. And then we had a couple of different iterations of basically the same question here. Shirley and John were wondering about, will passengers be subject to travel restrictions on entry if they're only transitioning through Japan airports?
Maybe I can answer that question. On my presentation, I do mention if passengers are just transiting at, let's say, Narita within the same day, they not entering into Japan, they are not subject to PCR testing nor the 14 days quarantine.
Thank you so much, Serena. And let's see. The one I wanted to read out next was question for JNTO. What will happen if passengers' COVID-19 test is positive upon arrival?
Well, it's not JNTO can answer. It's better to search on the site. I think
right.
If it's positive, it most probably refuse entry into the country or taken to hospital. But it's best to check with the consulate or the embassy for the policy.
Right, of course. Thank you, Athena. And a question for Serena. Do you leave middle seats vacant? Shirley asked that.
In April, we did have the social distancing in flight, but this policy ended in July because the state of emergency of Japan has been lifted. And as I show in my presentation, even though we do not do social distancing on flight, we did introduce a lot of other precautionary measures, such as all passengers are wearing face masks, and we do have sanitizing stations and antibacterial wipes available for passenger to use. So we try our best to protect the safety of the passengers. But no, we don't leave the middle seat open right now.
Great, thank you, Serena. And question for Bruce, what is your favorite spot or tip for travel to Japan?
In terms of, well, you know, Japan has a lot to offer. I mean, depending on what someone wants, I mean, you can spend a whole week in just Tokyo. There's so much to do, so many places to see besides, you know, the Imperial Palace, and this culture, museums. For those who want even a more beautiful city and less hustle and bustle, Kyoto, I think, is one of the most beautiful cities in the world. It's historic and beautiful. Osaka, castle, going to Osaka, Hiroshima. But I think the real the real beauty for me and what I love the most about Japan is when you go into more rural areas. Rural Japan is just like, it's nothing like the cities. It's nothing like how people view, I think, Tokyo in kind of from outside, or view Tokyo as being, you know, iconically Japan. And that's when you can really see a beautiful and unique cultural side of Japan in some of the smallest kind of cities, rural cities, like even going out to Sapporo. It's out in the North Islands is amazing. So there's lots of great things to see. But I mean, I took my daughter to Tokyo 2 years ago, and we spent, to Japan, but we spent 6 days in just Tokyo, and we were busy every second. There's so much to do there. And then we spent some time in Kyoto as well. But going outside of that, there's so much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bruce. And for this next question, I believe, Adam, maybe you have some input on this. Are there any drive and stay plans or itineraries for touring around the country? And are any of the signs in English?
Sorry, drive and stay?
Yeah, they wrote drive/stay plans or itineraries.
I know that there are specific packages for tourists to get it's a toll pass, and there's car rental agencies that provide toll passes that are becoming more and more common across the country, so that you can drive to wherever you want to go. One of the issues I've found is if you're just taking trains, sometimes you have to take so many transfers to a destination that looks like it should be an hour away, but might take 5 or 6 hours because of all the transfers. So if you're driving, renting a car and getting one of those toll passes is sometimes the most economical and efficient way to go. And then you would just park wherever you're staying. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, that's great. I appreciate the input. Thank you, Adam. John asks, he says, I expect that spring and fall are great times to travel to Japan. Will there be limited availability of accommodations and transportation at those times? Do we need to book months in advance?
Who's the question? I can answer that. You do. I mean, the cherry blossom season is very, very popular in Japan, and you do need to book in advance to get hotels.
Right.
And so, but you know, that spring season is and it's such a short season too, and it also seems to be moving in recent years. When the exact season is, it shifts depending on how cold the winter is. So you do have to do that in advance, though. So and I think, I mean, as I said, in the immediate future, I think there's lots of accommodations for everybody anywhere in the world, not just Japan, because because hotels are desperate and dying for business, so they'd love to have you, and you might not need as much time in advance to book now, because as I said, in the near term, as travel kind of ramps back up.
Right. Thank you, Bruce. Ruth asks, are there any restrictions when visiting onsens?
You mean restriction? Sorry, I tried to answer it. You mean restriction for onsen right now, or?
Right, yeah, any restrictions up right now?
Right now, I guess I don't know whether you know of particular Hoshinoya is one of the resorts. They have many resorts across the country. They implement online check. If you stay in one of the resorts, you can check online to see how crowded at the time that you want to take onsen. They also try, I think for most of the Japanese inn, they also, if you want to go certain time, you better talk to them to avoid too many people at the same time. So I guess it's this kind of restriction of being crowded with too many people.
Right, thank you, Athena.
The question?
Yes, absolutely, thank you.
Okay.
Jay asks, Serena, do you require our certificate of negative COVID test results upon check-in at the airport?
Yes, passenger does need to have a certificate of negative COVID results. And the key is also the test has to be done within 72 hours before the departure to Japan. So I hope this answered the question.
Definitely, that's great. Thank you, Serena. And Brett says, it might be important to clarify, I understand transit is not permitted if itinerary requires a change of airports from Narita to Haneda or vice versa. Did I get that right? He's just asking to clarify.
Yes, this is correct. So if transit within the same airport, then it's okay, not subject to PCR test and quarantine. But let's say if you need to change airport from Narita to Haneda or vice versa, then right now it's not possible.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Serena. And Leo asks, so passengers have to show test results to JAL when flying?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
Yes. Leo asks, so passengers have to show test results to JAL when flying or at the airport?
At the airport upon check-in, because our check-in agent need to see that in order to make sure the passenger will not be denied entry when they arrive into Japan.
Of course. Thank you, Serena. Just in the interest of time, let's just answer maybe a couple more here. Does that sound good to you, Athena?
Yes.
Okay. So let's see. When is the best time to arrange a trip to the top of Mount Fuji? Who provides such a service?
So, Adam, do you want to answer or I answer? The seasonal.
I would think summer. Otherwise, it's too cold.
Actually, it's a different level of height where you can go in Mount Fuji. And I think they will close off some of the top levels after the summer. So information is in the website. So they may close right after summer, but you still can go on the lower level. But you have to, before your trip, it's better to check the month they indicated which level you can go up. It go by the seasons. So hope that answer.
That's perfect. Yes, thank you, Athena.
Yeah.
And let's see. Oh, I understand there are. John says, I understand there are many earthquakes in Japan. Are there any reasons to avoid traveling by trains? Avoid traveling by train?
This is you don't know, this is sort of, you call it natural crisis, but not only train, depends on which part you travel. Maybe, Bruce, you can help me to answer. You're a professional expert.
In terms of my professional experience with earthquakes, well, I think that Japan does have earthquakes. Obviously they're unpredictable. I don't think the question is worded as if they happen all the time. They don't. I think there's been a couple major ones in the past little while that have got media attention. But I mean, in answer to your question, I would not travel by train for fear of earthquakes. I think there's so many other things that could possibly happen, no matter how you decide to travel. There's inherent risk in, walking across the street in your own neighborhood. So I don't think it's that much of a risk that you would avoid traveling by train. And the train system is, when it's between familiar areas, and as Adam was saying, when you go into more rural areas, sometimes you have to take lots of connections to take trains, but generally speaking, traveling around Japan by train is amazingly efficient, extremely good on the environment, and it's very, very organized and easy to do. So I highly suggest it. I don't think earthquakes should, the fear of an earthquake should hinder you from doing that.
Thank you. Can I put additional comment? Like, train is the most efficient traveling transportation system in Japan. It brings you all over the country. And driving is good in some areas, such as Hokkaido. But in the busy cities, if you drive, it will take you hours. As the train may take you 10 minutes. So it's the traffic problem in the big city. But
and the high-speed trains too the high-speed trains are excellent. Like traveling just between Kyoto and Tokyo, the trains between are so easy and fast and efficient.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As someone who had the opportunity to travel around Japan by train back in 2012, I fully concur with that. Thank you, Athena. Thank you, Bruce. And now to wrap things up, I'm going to launch a short poll. And audience members, I see most of you are still here. I'm just going to feel free to participate in this. And the question is, how satisfied were you with this webinar today? And please, please choose one of those 4 options and submit that there.
Oh, I get to choose too.
That's right, yeah. I see those votes are coming in. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, this is very important to us. So kind of showing the effort we made, whether it was it or not, and also really appreciate our guest speaker. I thank all 3 of you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everyone. And that pretty much wraps things up. From all of us here at Baxter Media, I'd like to thank everyone for attending. If you happen to miss part of today's webinar, the recording will be made available tomorrow on the Baxter Media YouTube channel, and I'll also be sending it to everyone. And in terms of the prize draw, the 3 winners who get their names drawn will be contacted on or before Friday, September 18th, which of course is this Friday. Thank you so much, Athena Ho, Adam Waxman, Bruce Poontip, and Serena Lee. It was wonderful having you all here virtually today.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.